Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what do you call a show that's scientifically educational and fun? You guessed it, The Last Science Show. That's right. Thank you for tuning in to this episode for our Black History Month series. We have been honoring Black scientists all month. And for these last episodes, we want to honor Black scientists making a difference today. We want to honor Dr. Alison Brown. She is a fellow at Tufts University's Clinical and Translational Scientific Institute, also known as CTSI. Dr. Brown's research interests include epidemiological research and clinical, community, and policy initiatives to address racial, ethnic health disparities in the U.S. Let's go, Doc. As stated, Dr. Brown is addressing racial or ethnic disparities here in the U.S. Now, I want to focus on this for a minute so we can know the challenging task at hand for Dr. Brown and understand just a tad bit of what she has to do and research regularly. Racism is a system consisting of structures, policies, practices, and norms that assigns values and determines opportunity based on the way people look or the color of their skin. This results in conditions that unfairly advantage some and disadvantage others throughout society. Racism, both interpersonal and structural, negatively affects the mental and physical health of millions of people, preventing them from attaining their highest level of health, and consequently affecting the health of our nation. A growing body of research shows that centuries of racism in this country has had a profound and negative impact on communities of color. The impact is pervasive and deeply embedded in our society, affecting where one lives, learns, works, worships, and plays, and creating inequities and access to a range of social and economic benefits, such as housing, education, wealth, and employment. These conditions, often referred to as social determinants of health, are key drivers of health inequities within communities of color, placing those within these populations at greater risk for poor health outcomes. The data show that racial and ethnic minority groups throughout the United States experience higher rates of illness and death across a wide range of health conditions, including diabetes, hypertension, obesity, asthma, and heart disease when compared to their white counterparts. Additionally, the life expectancy of non-Hispanic or Black Americans is 4 years lower than that of white Americans. The COVID-19 pandemic and its disproportionate impact among racial and ethnic minority population is another stark example of these enduring health disparities. Racism also deprives our nation and the scientific and medical community of the full breadth of talent, expertise, and perspectives needed to best address racial and ethnic health disparities. Therefore, Dr. Alison Brown is essentially one of the great minds at the forefront of this issue, finding ways to build a healthier America for all people without racial and ethnic health inequities. Originally from the Washington, D.C. area, Dr. Brown attended Spelman College, where she graduated summa cum laude with a degree in chemistry and received her master's degree from Columbia University in nutrition and applied physiology. She is a graduate of Tufts University's Friedman School of Nutrition Science and Policy, where her dissertation research focused on exploring the ethnic heterogeneity of the U.S. Black population and how this diversity relates to hypertension risk and diet quality. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, the overall prevalence of high blood pressure is 54% among non-Hispanic Black adults, compared with 46% in non-Hispanic white adults, 39% in non-Hispanic Asian adults, and 36% in Hispanic adults. As a CTSI fellow, Dr. Brown is examining the impact of health insurance stability on diabetes management in diverse populations. Alison is passionate about addressing diet-related racial and ethnic health disparities not only through research, but also through policy. advocacy, and grassroots organizing. She serves as an American Society for Nutrition for the 2017-2018 Science Policy Fellow and the board chair of a startup, food cooperative grocery store in a predominant community of color in Boston. As a nutrition and wellness education, Dr. Brown is passionate about motivating others to take charge of their health and that of their family. Whether you are a mother, a father, or a single adult striving to make healthier choices, her goal is to share information and tools that will empower people toward a better and healthier lifestyle. Her interest in nutrition stems from losing many of her family members to diet-related diseases. History does not define destiny, however, and that is why she is driven to help shape and improve the lives and well-being of others. Thank you, Dr. Brown, for caring so much about the health and wellness of all communities, but especially those that have experienced racial and social inequity. We appreciate you, Doc. So you, dear viewer, continue to like, subscribe, comment, and share for more great content from the last science show. We've got more great black scientists coming up. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good science. The first black scientist we are going to honor is George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was an African-American scientist and educator. Carver is famous for many inventions, including a number of uses for the peanut. George Washington Carver was born enslaved and went on to become one of the most prominent scientists and inventors of his time, as well as a teacher of the Tuskegee Institute. Carver devised over 100 products using one major crop, the peanut, including dyes, plastics, and gasoline. Carver was most likely born in 1864, enslaved in Diamond, Missouri, during the Civil War years. Like many children of the enslaved, the exact year and date of his birth are unknown. Carver was one of many children born to Mary and Giles, an enslaved couple owned by Moses Carver. A week after his birth, Carver was kidnapped along with his sister and mother from the Carver farm by raiders from the neighboring state of Arkansas. The three were later sold in Kentucky. Among them, only the infant Carver was located by an agent of Moses Carver and returned to Missouri. The conclusion of the Civil War in 1865 brought the end of slavery in Missouri. Moses and his wife Susan decided to keep Carver and his brother James at their house after that time. As she had been in high school, Jemison was very involved in extracurricular activities at Stanford, including dance and theater productions, and served as head of the Black Student Union. She received a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering from the university in 1977. Upon graduation, she entered Cornell University Medical College and, during her years there, found time to expand her horizons by studying in Cuba and Kenya and working at a Cambodian refugee camp in Thailand. After Jemison obtained her MD in 1981, she interned at Los Angeles County / University of Southern California Medical Center and later worked as a general practitioner. For the next 2.5 years, she was the Area Peace Corps Medical Officer for Sierra Leone and Liberia, where she also taught and did medical research. Following her return to the United States in 1985, Jemison made a career change and decided to follow a dream she had nurtured for a long time. In October, she applied for admission to NASA's astronaut training program. The Challenger disaster of January 1986 delayed the selection process, but when she reapplied a year later, Jemison was one of the 15 candidates chosen from a field of about 2,000. On June 4, 1987, Jemison became the first African-American woman to be admitted into the NASA astronaut training program. After more than a year of training, she became the first African-American woman astronaut, earning the title of Science Mission Specialist.